Right, and welcome to part 15 of Project PAHOOT. My voice is knackered because it's winter and I always get a cold in winter. So the rear suspension subframe frame is on. I finally got it done. Lots of things have stood in my way of doing it. Sorry, I'm trying to make a cup of coffee at the same time here because my throat's really dry. So yeah, lots of stuff has changed. I've changed role within the company I work for, so I'm not workshop based as much as I was. I'm now based on site, so I'm not really with the car as much as I'd like to be. But I've managed to crack on and get as far as I can done. It's been a lot of welding done, but none of it on camera because I've lost my tripod for my other phone. I use two phones, but I use this phone for filming and I use another one for doing all the little shots of other stuff. I don't know where my tripod's gone, so I couldn't be fast with trying to make something, you know, lean it up against something because it invariably falls over. So, but I think most people know what welding looks like anyway, don't they? You don't need to see me, you know, melting two bits of metal together with electricity and heat. So, like I said, the rear subframe frame is on now. I'm not doing anything else to it for the rest of the year. It's, what is it now, 17th of December. I'm making this little diatribe at the start. I won't be doing any more work on the car this year because I have stuff to do on other cars, my own stuff to do on the house, and it's Christmas as well, which is just gets in the way of stuff. But hopefully I can get back to it in the new year and finish off the entire rear end part. So everything's tacked on now. I'll just get it all zipped up, fully welded, get all the additional gusseting put on, any extra strengthening that's needed, and then I can work on hopefully the engine and gearbox, making them fit together, working out where they're going to go, drive shaft, blah blah blah, all the stuff we've talked about already. But most of this video is just me talking about what I've done, and then you'll see the bits that I've done. Like I say, there's no action shots of me doing anything because I've not been able to film anything. I've been getting on with stuff and then filming things afterwards, after the fact, pointing stuff out. But you know, it's a bit of progress in it, so enjoy it. I've done my first little bit of fabrication welding, as you can see by my helmet. We've got these pieces welded up now, so apart from needing cutting off at the bottom, that is the piece. So that's going to weld up to here, and these two bits are actually going to be inside this, but at the moment they're just clamped to it because I'm going to have to heat this up a little bit and just sort of massage it so they go in. So it's only briefly tacked together, and same on the other side. Again, that one's a lot longer, just needs cutting. It'll end up being flush with the bottom of here so you don't see it protruding, but I'll probably cut that once it's in place. So it's not particularly equal at the moment because there's a little piece back here that's kind of stopping it from, yeah, all that crap there from, but that doesn't matter. That's not part of the equation. Main thing is I've got these two pieces cut. They're identical side to side, so they will slot into here. They will be welded all around the outside, and I'm also going to drill through these holes and pass a bolt through and weld that in, so they are never coming out. Even if I want them to come out, they're not going to come out. And I've also started rearranging what I'm doing at the back here. So I've already cut this piece. This piece is going to replace this C-section back panel here, so I've just got to kind of cut and unstitch all these welds here, and then I'm going to cut 2 more pieces of this. It's going to sit inside here, butt up to there, butt up to this, and then again this is going to be stitched across the edges, plug welded in, so this is just going to basically strengthen this, because I need this to be strong so that this section here can weld to it, and it'll hopefully take all the forces I put through it. And maybe I'll have to put some bracing in here as well. I want to try and avoid that, because that's going to be where my fuel tank access is going to be, because I'm going to have access through the floor for a drop-in fuel pump and sender unit kind of thing. So I'm going to go cut these, measure these up, cut them, unstitch all this back end, and then maybe drag the welder over here and tack it, because I did these over in the workshop over there rather than, and I've got sockets, I can plug the welder in over here, but I'm just thinking time wise. Gonna get some measurements, get these bits cut, and then that rear end can be rebuilt, packed in, it's welded in. We're going to have to do something here as well. I think once this piece is in here, we'll stitch something across here, or something across the bottom, something to add some strength into. There's a hole there, some strength into there. That's a drain hole, it's fine, it's supposed to be there. And then I can look at finishing off, making the table to make everything flat. Nothing's getting welded or tacked into place here until I have got this flat and level, and then I can make marks on the table and set my laser up for heights and all that good stuff. So it's getting there. I've only got a bit of chopping and welding done. I've not been near the car for a couple of weeks because I've been on site actually welding, only tacking stuff up. Like I said, I'm not a welder, that's why I've not shown you my welds too close. It's only just to tack the bits together. But, right, let's go and make a rear end up. Got the bits for the rear end now. Nothing is in place fully, but it all wants sort of squaring up a little bit. You know, this whole thing is twisted, so it's a good job. I was never going to put any kind of force or torque through it, because it would just fold up like an envelope the second you put your foot down. So as you can see, we've got our piece that butts up against the old chassis here, comes along, it'll weld up to here. This will all be flattened out and straightened. I'm going to get some heat on that and get it nice, and it'll all be stitched along here and down there, and on the side here as well, where it will eventually match. It's a bit twisted here, there's a bit of a gap, but that's not going to be there when the time comes. And then obviously drilled through here, plug welded, put some gussets in, put a nice little gusset across here and there, and probably something from here to there as well, just to triangulate things, make everything nice and strong. And then that means I shouldn't need this bar across. I may end up keeping that, but it will mean losing even more space out of the fuel tank, which I'm sure I've already mentioned. But we've got a bit of progress gone anyway, so the back end itself hasn't really changed in shape and size, just stronger. So next step will be get it onto a flat table, get the marking up done, and start tacking this slot into place. We'll get this slot exactly where it needs to be, nice and square. Get the chassis square, and then start getting these bits where they need to be in space tacked on, and away we go. That's the plan. So I better get building the table. More fun. Right, so table is built. It's not the prettiest of things, but it works, just like me. So it's level, well the chassis is level, so I've made sure that the chassis is level. I'm not too concerned about the table being level as long as the chassis is level. So we've now got the chassis on it, as you can see. It's just been knocked about a bit because I've been cutting and grinding, as you can see. I've made an attempt to start fitting the first one of these, and it became apparent that this gap here is ever so slightly too small. So I've slit it out here and there. So this will now sit exactly where I want it to. And when it's then put into position, it can be tacked all down those edges. And then, once it's all tacked in place where I need it to be, I'm going to make a plate that comes down over the outside that welds to this. So it'll be welded down the sides and probably plug welded as well. And then I will drill the holes in this to line up with the bolts on the holes on the other side. We'll put some through bolts through and weld them into place as well. So even if the welds do break, they're still held solidly with bolts. So the beauty now is, now this is flat, I can make a centre line on this. My next job is to make sure that the chassis is square to the edge of the board here, and from there I can make a centre line. I can stick my laser on it and get a centre line of the chassis, and then I can get a centre line of the subframe. And from there I can do the height of the, because the height of the diff is determined from the chassis, not from the floor. The height of everything is determined from the height of the chassis. So if the chassis is level, the subframe goes in level. That's the theory. We've also got the rear end here built up. This is going to be the first piece to go in. So once I'm happy with this, now I've done a bit of kicking around, this will probably come off level again. I'll square this up where I need it to, get this into place, level, straighten this up. I'm going to try and add a bit of metal work. I'll give that a bit of heating up and straightening. Cut these end pieces off because the captives in here get right in the way. They're going, so we'll get that on, because once that is in, that gives me the basis for the rearmost attachment of the subframe, which welds up against that anyway. It's flush against it, so get that in, get that level. I can get the back half of the subframe parts where that needs to be, get that tacked in, then we can get the front bits tacked in once I've done these. I'm going to cut the other one down because it's a bit too big. I made it really long, but I'll just chop it to the same length as that, weld it all in. Bob is your uncle, and he actually is, my uncle is Bob. And then we're a little bit closer. Oh yeah, I need to box this in as well, but that can be done afterwards. The main thing is I want to get all the strength back into it, get the subframe mounts in, and then it can go off and be properly welded by a proper welder. Although I am getting a lot more practice and I'm doing a lot more welding, so I might well do it myself, but I don't know how well it's going to turn out with an arc welder, but we'll see. So yeah, next job, level it up, get that back bit in, and then start the subframe, which is there. I took it back off, so getting there slowly, but I've got my table now, so I'm happy. So the big bits can start now. So well, we'll grab my tools and crack on with that. Update: the chassis is in the workshop. Brought the table in, levelled it up, and this whole back end is welded on and solid now. It's only a first pass of the welding. It's going to get migged up afterwards, so it's not the best looking stuff, but at least it's on. So I'm about 2 hours in doing this. It takes a long time. There's still more to do, more welding anyway, to make it all nice. But crucially now, I've got centre marks on the subframe, so that's the exact centre, and then we also have marks here on the table. So that mark there is exactly parallel with that, and this mark 650mm from there, which is the centre of the diff. So I can pop my laser onto there, run a line through. Even brought some lines up onto the chassis as well, so there's one here, one there, and then same on the other side. So I've got something to work against for getting the, I can work my height and my distance, and then I can, with having this centre line here, I can make sure that it's bang on in the chassis. I've just got to put a couple more lines in, so while the chassis is strapped down here, I make some marks off here, make a centre line there, a centre line here, and then run the laser through again. And then if I get hold of another laser, I can have two. I can have one running that way all the time, one running this way all the time, and then I can level it all up. We can squeeze that. That will shuffle forward to where it needs to be, and I can get the front lifted up to where it needs to be, get these pieces in, get everything the right height, tack these in, take that back off, and then just leave these in there and there. Do some choppy in here, so get rid of them in here. All the stuff I've already mentioned, all my butting, all the weld butting and braces. It's been a long day. I've had a long day today. My brain's not working, so. But anything is progress. It might not look like much, but I'm hoping this can be in here for a few weeks now. I've not got any vans to come in for the moment, so if I can get away with leaving this in here, I will do, and then just sneak a little bit of welding in it now and again. Get myself some plates here as well to box in these ends, so probably when I get a chance on a brew, I'll measure them, cut them, get them tacked in, and then that's that bit of the chassis done. I'm also going to make some bracer plates to go across here, so they'll come across and around the tube and weld onto here, so I'll plug weld them on, so all this is nice and sturdy and strong. I have also considered doing some cross bracing in here. I might do a triangulate from here to there again, and also in this section here make a cross brace with a ring in the middle that the drive shaft can pass through, if that's possible. I can't remember how far the yoke sits forward, but we'll see. But that's only if I can. I'll know more once I've got the back end into place. So with any luck, my next step, that back end will be into place and at least tacked in, so that these bits are where they need to be, tack there, and then I can take that off completely, so there's no weight on anything, and then get it all finalised. And there's other stuff been going on in the background as well. I'm always sort of picking up little bits and bobs. I've got some little bits and pieces that I'll go through at some point as well. But yeah, get this thing welded in. Racing updates. I've decided to make my life a lot easier and done this. So I put the front part of the subframe mounting back on, and I've just tacked in some braces, and when that cools down I can mark the centre on here as well. I could take this out completely, and then without that I've got no weight to lift up and down into the car. I can lift the subframe into place in the chassis. I've got my centre line there. I'm going to mark my diff centre lines on here as well, and then when I set the laser in the middle in the right place, I'll know exactly where this can go. Weld it on at the back, can weld it on at the front, and then that can go in upwards from there. So I'm quite tempted as well, instead of welding the nuts on here, weld the bolts on so they face push down, and then it's easy just to lift the subframe up, 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 lift the subframe up onto the bolts, do the nuts up from underneath. So that hopefully is going to make my job a lot easier, because it was a pain in the arse to get that thing in and out of the chassis without dragging it, potentially moving the chassis from its position on the table. So I've got to reposition it just to make sure all my lines are exactly where they need to be, and then we can crack on with getting that in. And then that bit's in, I can forget about it, because it feels like this is taking forever. I've been on site for the last couple of weeks, so I've not had a chance to go anywhere near the car until now. Maybe not for another couple of weeks as well, so I'm hoping to get this done quite soon, because I want to start on the next thing, which is getting the gearbox fitted up to the engine. But this should make the job a lot easier. We'll see. Finally managed to get to the yard, because my role has changed. I don't work at the yard anymore as much. So I'm now in a position where we've got the laser set up. You see the mark is actually there. It's not, ignore that one, it's that one. Just need to square it up a little bit more. I've got my centre line. I've got all my centre lines on this. This is literally just clamped in place at the moment. You can see it's proper on the piss. I've just got to start straightening it up, and then I can tack it in place, and then I'll be happy, because it's nearly Christmas, and as you can hear, I sound like Barry White played through a bassoon, so I'm not feeling 100%. And I've just had it in the back of my mind that I want to get this rear suspension frame on and in place, and then I can crack on a bit in the new year, getting the engine and gearbox sorted. Because once this is on, it's only assembly and cutting off all the bits that I don't need. So, i.e., all this across here will go, all this across here will go. Obviously, the braces will be in. But excuse me, I'm a lot closer than I was. So I'm just going to level all this up, see how it looks, get some tacks on it, and then I can walk away and leave it, and then that can just go into the shed and be worried about coming back on afterwards. Happy days. Oh, first tacks are on. So this is on now. See, lined up, lined up, lined up, and lined up. So I've just got to level it this way now. Make sure this is level. Get this tacked in. That's level across. Get these tacked together, and then that is where it needs to be. I can work out what I need to do down here, but I've got as far as I wanted to, so I'll get them bits tacked in, and then I can kind of walk away from the rear suspension for a bit, because I'm all suspensioned out. But then I can work out from here where my diff sits, where the gearbox is going to sit height wise, and then I can work on engine mounts. The engine's still sat over there doing nothing. Hopefully get the sump back, then start modifying the gearbox. Oh well, right, let's get these bits tacked in, and then I'm going to call it a day. Just like that, it's on. It's only tacks, nothing's finished, so it's a bit scrappy, but I've got these in as well. Gonna put some nice big plates here to secure all that. Same at the back, we'll plate that in, make it all nice. Obviously this is going to be chopped off probably somewhere about here, angled down to there, so this end is fully held in. This end is good. These are going to come off, but we're in, we're level, we're square, and anything slightly out of square will be taken up by the rubber and the adjustment in the suspension anyway, so I'm more than happy with that. That's enough for this year, so that's going to be the last video until the new year, when hopefully I'll finish all this welding off and make a start and all that crap. But lovely. So with any luck, you'll see this video before Christmas. So have a Merry Crimbo and Happy New Year, and I will see you in the new year, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed and full of vigour, like I always am. And we'll crack on with getting some more big stuff done. Thank you very much.